afternoon, Michiganders. My name is Ryan with Michigan Storm Chasers. This is going to be a weekly thing we're going to start doing here in terms of future outlooks, weekly outlooks, looking into the 2-3 week in advance type of time frame. But we also have some things to talk about in terms of potential snowfall for some areas in South and East Michigan tonight into tomorrow. Let's kind of creep back up into our area. We've seen the system shift back and forth over the past couple of weeks. Remember the live stream last week, we had mentioned a possibility of snowfall for this time frame, but it did look over the course of the week it shifted to our south, so we didn't think we're going to get impacted. Then just yesterday the model said, oh wait, we're going to shift right back into Michigan. So we're going to go over what to expect on timing, impact, stuff like that. It's not going to be a major storm, nothing to get your hopes up if you're a snow lover, but it does have some potential. I'll explain in a little bit here. So first and foremost, the GFS model is our main model we're going to use for this, just because it has a good handle on system strength, timing, and all that kind of stuff as well. So looking at the potential radar here, this is going to be 1 p.m. today. So about 5 minutes is what the radar should look like. We have some rain off to our south. We're going to move this through into the time frame for tonight in the overnight hours. We see the system move its way, move north towards our way here over Kentucky into Ohio here. Now watch this. This is 10 p.m. tonight. Watch the change over to snow happens after midnight, closer to 1 a.m. according to this model. And then the snow lasts overnight. This is 4 a.m. into the 7 a.m. time frame, a bit heavier snow there. And then that system moves off to the north and east there, mainly east, and just has some lingering snow showers during the day on Sunday. So overnight tonight, past midnight, I'll say, into Sunday morning, looks to be some potential snow. Could be heavy at times, but I'll explain why you shouldn't be too excited if you're a snow lover. Number one, we look at our surface temperatures, okay? For really good snowfall accumulation, we want to see these surface temperatures as low as possible, but that's not going to be the case here. We're going to see surface temperatures very marginal at best, right around 32 to 33 degrees. It's going to be a wet snow, so it's not going to accumulate as well, just because, number one, we just had a lot of rain here in Southeast Michigan, so the ground temperatures are not, they're saturated, but they're also warmer than what they should be for snowfall. So while we could have a good amount of snow fall, and if it was cold enough, you could see accumulations, 4 to 8 inches. I think what's going to happen with this is going to be just a dusting up to a few inches of snow in some spots, just because those warm ground temperatures are not going to be favorable for snow accumulation on grass and on roads as well. We're going to likely see accumulations, but it's going to be probably slushy. It's not going to be very well. It's not going to accumulate very well. So with that being said, in terms of how much to expect and where to expect it, we switch over here to our, let's go ahead and use this one. All right, let's go ahead and use a little bit of a better tool here in terms of snowfall areas. We'll go ahead and move down here to total snowfall. We'll go ahead and click on the morning of tomorrow. There we go. So this is a snowfall map of what to expect here in Michigan. The heaviest snow looks to be from a line between right around Port Huron up here, all the way down here through Ann Arbor, all the way down to Coldwater Sturgis. So in that heavier blue shade, all the way up here towards Port Huron, Clinton Township, Ann Arbor, all the way down toward Coldwater Sturgis. And then if you're south and east of this line here, that does look to be the most accumulation. Now, how much to expect? I'm going to go ahead and say right around that 1 to 4 inch range. Now, the reason it's not like 2 to 4 or 1 to 2, this has some uncertainty with it. Just like I mentioned with the ground temperatures being mild, it's going to be hard to determine how much accumulates. It's falling at a good time overnight. We don't have the sun with the peak heating, so to speak, that could melt the snow. It's going to be falling at a good time, but again, the ground temperatures are so marginal. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to play out. There is potential we could see as much as 4 inches in some spots. Some of these models actually do indicate a little bit higher than 4 inches in some spots. But again, I don't think it's all going to accumulate. Most of it will melt on contact and over time. So that is the going forecast here. If you're outside to the north of this, I'd say just a dusting over here in Kalamazoo, Lansing, Flint, those areas, just a dusting for you guys. I don't really think it's going to accumulate much outside this line here that I drew from about Port Huron down to Sturgis. I don't think it's going to be too much in the way of accumulations that far to the north. Now, in terms of other models, Go ahead and switch back here. The reason that we're kind of uncertain with this, I'll show you guys the HRRR model. Now, the HRRR model does not, it has a good handle on things, but it's a little bit warm right now. It's handling things too warm, in my opinion. So if we go ahead and switch over here to the snowfall accumulation, we're going to see just a dusting, just a little blip of snow here from about that North Ann Arbor area down through about Coldwater. We see just a couple inches of snow here on this model versus what we are just looking at in the GFS. A little bit better representation would be this. I would assume that we're going to have some good snowfall rates overnight. It's just not all going to stick. Now, here's the GFS model there for you to give a better idea. So the HRRR model is a little bit too warm in my opinion, but it does have some validity there because it might be trying to pick up on the warm surface temperatures and stuff like that that could cut into snowfall. Now, in terms of the long term, how are we looking for the next week, upcoming week? A 2-week time frame. Now, we talked about last weekend, we did have a mini warm up coming that we could reach 50 degrees. That does seem to be the case, although it's trending a little weaker. We are probably going to get into the mid 40s, upper 40s in some spots across the state. If we look at the temperature forecast for across the state, we do see 2 days that primarily stick out, February 1st and February 2nd, where we're going to see temperatures make a run towards that 50-degree mark. I don't know or don't think, I'll say we don't think. I don't think we're going to get there. I think we're going to fall just short of that 50-degree mark. We should be mainly in the low to mid 40s statewide, but the further south you go, the higher your probability is of getting into that high 40, low 50s, perhaps in some spots area. This is Adrian's forecast here. We see that 48 and 47 degree for February 1st, which is Thursday, next Thursday and Friday. And then we see it drop back off towards the freezing mark, 33 and then 38 for highs past that. And I'll go ahead and flip on a few other stations here. Go up to, let's go up to Battle Creek and click on the temperature there. We see about the same story here. We had those right around 40 degrees throughout the week, then that 47 and 48 right around that Thursday, Friday time frame. Then it dropped back into the 30s for that weekend, next weekend. And we look up to a little bit further north here. Let's go to Big Rapids. Let's go to Big Rapids, and we're going to see 40 or right around 40 until we get to that Thursday, Friday. We're going to see 42 for a high. It could be a little bit higher than that, I expect. And then if we go a bit further up into the UP area, even further north, let's see if we can find something. Let's go to Marquette if we can't find Marquette with this. I don't see Marquette on. Let's go Mackinac Island. Mackinac Island, right around that 40-degree mark, is going to be achievable for you guys, especially on February 1st and potentially January 31st as well. Again, this is going to be colder the further north you go, but still above average temperatures here, no matter where you're at in the state. Now, in terms of past this, what are we looking at in terms of February, mid-February, late February? I don't know how it's going to play out, but I will say, if we look to our Arctic oscillation, which is basically a measure, it can really give us some insight as to how much cold air can penetrate south from Canada into the United States. When we see this bar graph here, when we see this middle line here, when it goes into the negative, which is down here for the majority of this graph, it's below that black line. We see it's above, it's positive, but we get to that February 6th time frame right here, we see it dips back into the negative. So what that means is when it's in negative, we're going to have a shot at getting a lot of cold air back into the United States here. So the gist of this is February, from about the February 6th time frame, is going to flip back into a more colder pattern. Now, how cold is yet to be seen. I don't really expect to get the Arctic air back that we had a week or two ago. I don't think it's going to be that cold. We had a lot of wind with that as well, but we could be talking, highs in the 20s again, maybe teens. Again, it's a little bit too far out to really get a good picture for this, but the overall pattern here is going to support the mid to late February timeframe. A little bit colder than usual here, and we see it trend back up the further into February you go. Now, in terms of the stormy pattern or how stormy we're going to be, we're going to have snow potential. Again, I think it's a little bit too far out to say. If I had to take a shot at it, I'd say probably average precipitation through February, so we might get 1 or 2 shots at some snow. Again, it doesn't look like a huge active pattern at this point in time, which that could change. Again, things can change very rapidly in weather here, so we could be looking at a few different scenarios here. We could be looking at some snow potential for mid-February. But again, it's too far out to say for sure. The pattern does suggest colder temperatures are coming back for mid-February. And then if we get any type of storm system that moves through, the chances of snow would then increase just because of a colder than average temperature expectation with that. So I hope that makes sense. So with that being said, I looked at the comment section here. That's going to be the gist of tomorrow and also the upcoming week. I believe I covered most everything here. Again, we do have some flood warnings that are in the state currently ongoing. We do have, going back here to the map, we have some, whoops, take that drawing tool off here. There we go. Look at the Wayne County here. We see a flood warning in effect here for the Rouge River, and that's going to be until further notice. They don't give an end time on this. It says that the river is falling. Flood stage is 15, and it'll be it's 16.2 feet, so it's about a foot over flood stage there in Wayne County. Looking up here onto this flood warning near Chesterfield Township, this is going to be for North Branch of the Clinton near Mount Clemens, affecting Macomb County, and that's going to be for moderate flooding until further notice. The flood stage on that was 15 feet, and right now it's expected to crest at 16.1. So we're seeing some flooding across the state. A little further north here into St. Clair County, we do have looks like the small stream flooding caused by rain snowfall is occurring. Doesn't really say anything specific with that. And then also we look over here toward Ingham County and Lansing. We do have some flood warnings there as well. And that is going to be for the Grand River at Portland, affecting Ionia County. That's going to be at 8 feet for flood. And the stage was 6. Bankful stage is 6 feet, and it's currently at 6.7 feet, according to this. It's going to rise to about 7.6. Then last but not least, we have a flood warning here, and that's going to be for the Grand River at Portland, affecting Ionia County. That's going to be Sycamore Creek and also the Red Cedar River there at East Lansing, and that's going to be minor flooding. It is forecast. This approaches the flood of record. I'm not sure what that means. Impacts are at 12 feet, and the flood stage is expected to rise to 12.5. So just some minor flooding going on there. I know a couple areas got hit pretty hard with this over the past couple of days with snowfall, but overall it's going to be on the decline here as rivers will start cresting here through the afternoon and evening into tomorrow. After Sunday, we should be getting those creeks to definitely fall back below flood stage. Dina, the snow is going to be occurring later tonight after midnight for Southeast Michigan here. I see it on the map here. This is going to be your snowfall map for highest areas. I believe it's going to be in the very far southeast corner from Clinton Township, Ann Arbor, all the way down through the Hillsdale, Coldwater, Sturgis areas. And if you're east toward Monroe, Adrian, Detroit, you would be in the heaviest swath of this. Again, not really expecting much in the way of accumulation, significant accumulation, just because A, the ground temperatures are really warm, but also B, this is going to be a pretty wet snow, given surface temperatures right around 32, 33 degrees. It's not going to favor accumulating snow, but the potential is there for up to, I say, 4 inches in isolated spots. All right, you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in chat. I'll go ahead and answer those as best as I possibly can, but I believe I covered pretty much everything with this. Shannon says, often on peaks of sunshine here in Brighton. I am to your south, and I have pure clouds. I want some sun. I believe I have the satellite on here. I do. This is a new software that we're going to be using here. Thank you, Red Dozer, for that. Appreciate you. But this is your satellite map here. We see some breaks in the clouds, just like you said. They're up toward the Mount Pleasant area up here, and also in the Thumb, we see some breaks here, and also in that south of Flint, Sterling Heights area, we see some breaks in these clouds here. So definitely going to have some sunshine possible for sure, but most of the state is in that cloud deck for sure. Yep. No problem, Penny. This is what we'd love to do. All sun in Sanilac County. That checks out. Lapeer area. Drew says, is this the first time in the winter that Southeast Michigan will get snow and the rest of the state won't? My memory does not serve me correctly with this. I do not know that. And plus, this does not look like a big system for Southeast Michigan. So I think we're going to have a few inches of accumulation, but definitely could receive could make the snow lovers happy if we got a little bit more in the way of a snowfall over here for sure. I know a lot of people in Southeast Michigan who would love snowfall, and it's just not looking like we're going to be favorable for that until maybe mid-February. But again, going that far in advance is kind of throwing a dart at a dartboard blind, so to speak. So we'll have to kind of wait and see that. Yes, Justin, all the snow melted down here as well. I just have some piles of snow at the end of the driveway that we got shoveled, but otherwise, the snow on the grass is completely gone down here in Lenawee County near the Ohio border. So pretty much all the snow in the state is pretty much melted. Any questions, guys? Justin says, keep the snow. I'm over it. A lot of the people in the state are mixed in terms of if they want snowfall or if they want spring. You can't make everybody happy here. We try and keep it biased, not or non-biased, should I say? But as soon as we start talking about spring, all the snow lovers come out and say, "We want snow." Every time we talk about snow, the spring lovers come out and say, "We want spring." So it's hard to keep a balance with everybody's personal preferences with this. But honestly, I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for some warmer weather. I'm ready for some storms. Although I don't mind the snow, I'm just not a big fan of the cold. Anything above 50 degrees is okay, but when you get into that 20 and teens and below that, it's just like, nah, I'll pass. Memphis area flooding. I am not aware of any flood warnings or any flood advisories up there, or unless Memphis. I want to say, where is Memphis? I gotta look this up. I know it's up there somewhere. Yes, I covered that. I thought Memphis was over by Grand Rapids for some reason, but yes, I did cover that briefly up there into St. Clair County. The flood warning here is in effect until noon tomorrow, and that's going to be for the Black River, and that's going to be. They don't give amounts on this. They don't say where the. Um, they just say small stream flooding caused by rain snowmelt is occurring with that area. They don't really give any particular rivers or anything to be concerned about there. But I'm sure I know a lot of people in Metro Detroit got hit hard with some basement flooding as well. I know Monroe County has some ice jams going on their river there. So I know across the southeast part of Michigan, even over here toward Lansing, as well, we're getting some reports of some river flooding going on there. Uh, but yes, Memphis is definitely under that flood warning for sure. Laura, it's going to be right around. If we go back to our map here, we have this area that we're kind of concerned about that we could see as much as maybe 4 inches of accumulation. But again, it's going to heavily depend because number one, surface temperatures are 32, 33 degrees. So not very productive for snowfall, but it's going to fall overnight. So that's going to be in its favor. But also the ground temperatures are warm. So all that snow, it may be like a 6-inch accumulation may fall, but only 3 of those 6 inches are going to stick. You know what I mean? So it's going to heavily depend where exactly, or not where exactly, but it's going to heavily depend, number one, on how snow decides to act, so to speak, but also um, if we get in the heavier band, how long it's going to last. Is it going to, is the snow going to melt on contact, stuff like that. So there's a lot of variables with this setup. But overall, I think up to 4 inches is possible, especially if you are south and east of, we'll say, east of US 127 and then south of I-96 would be a really good area there for 2 to 4, I'd say. Skyler, the warm trend is going to stick around until right around February 5th, give or take a few days. Going back to the Arctic oscillation here, we do see it go back into the negatives here right around the February 4th and 5th time frame. So right around that period, looking at temperatures here, if we go back here too, we'll go ahead and click on Lansing for a centralized location here. Let me find it right there. We see Lansing is going to fall off right after that February 2nd time frame. We still see right around freezing for 3rd, 4th, and 5th of February. But after that, we really drop off, and the models are not out that far yet. So we'll have a better idea coming up here in the next few days. But overall, it's going to stick around for at least until February 5th, I'm going to assume. Yeah, Laura, we've gotten a lot of pictures, messages about flooding in the Metro Detroit area, including Sterling Heights. Lincoln Park was a big one that got hit hard. We saw many people report basement flooding with that. But Sterling Heights, I know a lot of people's backyards and basements were impacted by that as well. It could have been a lot worse too because we only got about a half inch to an inch of rain. Had we gotten, say, 2 inches, it would have been a lot worse. Stephen, the fog is likely done unless you still have snow on the ground. Mainly, the fog was just caused by the melting snow. We had that warm air over cold air causing that inversion, keeping the fog down. It's likely going to be getting better. I'm not going to say it's completely over. I think tonight will be a little bit foggier in some spots, but if you do have snow on the ground, the chances of that are higher. But if you don't have snow, it should be a pretty low chance. Definitely not as dense as what we had. No, Skyler. We're going to go back into the cold air probably mid-February. Um, Above average temperatures, maybe. I think the average if we go into February is going to be actually. I can figure that out. So I go back here to special, or go back to here to city charts. Click on the EPS here. Let's go to Michigan. Let's go to Lansing again. Where are you at? I know it's around here somewhere. There it is. So temperature is this red line up here, and your average temperature is a red line here, and then the gray box is up here with the green line. That's your forecasted temperature. So through the period between now and February, this thing says February 10th, we're going to stay above average. But I do think after the 5th and 6th area, we're going to be a little bit colder than usual. I don't really trust these 40-degree temperatures that far in advance into mid-February there. I just don't think it's going to be that warm. So the average temperature is between 25 and 30 degrees for Lansing. It gradually increases, and it looks like by around February 11th, the average temperature is right 29 degrees or so. I'm going to say we're going to be below average for a period in February. I think we're going to be below that 29 degree for highs throughout the February period. So I think we're going to be back into the colder than average, cooler than average, colder than average, however you say it. We have a lake in our backyard in Flushing. Yeah, I got a lake in my backyard too, actually. It's getting better, but my backyard is notorious for ponding of water. So I'm with you on that one. Deborah, that is a good question. I do not know if Traverse City has snow left up there. I do not know. I believe the UP, especially the further central, like closer to Marquette, they have a lot of snow left. I think Sault Ste. Marie has snow left up there. So it's in terms of Traverse City, I don't know. River is rising in Portland. Amazing how much it comes up with just overnight. Yep. Especially with these bigger rivers, it takes a while for the fields and stuff to drain into it and move downstream. So it does take a few days to see those bigger rivers definitely rise for sure. Amanda, it is going to snow tonight. Yes, whether it sticks or not is still up in the up in the air here. Um, if you missed it, I'll go ahead and recap it. The surface temperatures are right around freezing, 32, 33 degrees. Not optimal for snowfall. The ground temperatures are pretty warm given the fact that we've been above freezing, but also we just had a lot of rain. So it's not a very good situation for accumulating snow. However, the snowfall rates and also the period it falls in the overnight period is going to be favorable, more favorable, should I say, for snow. So it's going to be a battle between warm air and warm temperatures on the ground versus snowfall rates. And I think we're going to see a few inches in some spots, but I don't expect to see anything too significant with this. But yes, there is some snow possible for you tonight. All right, guys. No other questions are coming in here. So again, I'm going to hop off here. So recapping, snow tonight, right around midnight, a little bit after midnight, from primarily South and East Michigan. Going back to our map here, I'll go ahead and load this back up to show you guys. If you look at the overall, there we go. Overall areas of accumulation. Can I close this? Nope, please close. Can I close this? There we go. Here are Sturgis, up through Coldwater, up through Jackson, up toward Ann Arbor, up toward Port Huron. You have the best potential for a few inches of accumulation. May make some things slick for the Sunday morning. If you travel anywhere to church or just going out to get your coffee and donuts, be careful for sure. Don't expect any ice for this, but again, some slick roads with the snowfall is possible. 2 to 4 inches, 1 to 4 really is going to be the going forecast here. We're not really sure how much of this is going to stick, as much as 4 inches as possible, but we could be on the lower end of that, just given again the warm ground temperatures and stuff like that. So that's your forecast long term. Again, they're going to be warmer into early February. By around February 5th, it turns into a colder pattern. Snow potential with that is likely to be determined as we get closer to that February 5th time frame. But again, the potential for more snow is coming, I believe, in mid-February, given the cooler than average expectation. So with that being said, that is your recap. The upcoming week looks pretty clean. We do have some shot at snow on Tuesday. Again, nothing significant with that. We'll go over that as we get into tomorrow and stuff like that. But we do have some chances for some precipitation throughout the week. Nothing major at this point. We'll cover you guys and keep you guys updated on that as we get closer. So I'm going to hop off here. Stay safe, guys, and hit that like button on your way out. We'd appreciate that.